What's good, everyone? I'm Lex the Philosopher. This is Outside the Gray. I want to give everyone a quick overview of who I am and my overall plan and vision that I have for Outside the Gray. Now, to start, like I said, I'm Lex the Philosopher. I'm an artist. I've never really considered myself to be a rapper, but I'm labeled as an alternative rapper nonetheless. I absolutely love music, man. It has been a dream of mine ever since I was a kid to make music for a living. And I'm super excited with what I'm working on right now and what's to come in the future. Now, with that being said, the current state of music is absolutely dismal. The lyrics are degenerate. The music videos are literally demonic, and the musical composition is just incredibly low vibration, man. And it just kind of keeps you in that alpha state, in that depressed and anxious mood. So it's just nothing at all how music used to be. And because of that, there's a void. There's a very obvious void where people are desiring something to come and fill that void within the music industry. And so instead of, sitting around and complaining about how everything sucks nowadays, I figured I might as well be the one to step up to the plate to fill that void. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. But I don't think you can just go in there and step into a genre and fill the void. I think the void is only going to be filled if you bring in a new genre. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do. And I know that sounds crazy to create a whole new music genre. I would argue it's bold. Most people would say it's crazy, but that's exactly what needs to be done. And now, in order to do this, I have three key elements to it. Element number one is the musical composition needs to be higher vibration and it needs to make you feel again. Think about the musical composition back in the day, man. It was like classic rock. Think of the guitar solos, man, the drum solos, man. You felt something, you were vibing with it. So that's element number one. Make the musical composition feel something again. Element number two is that the lyrics need to resonate with your soul. Think of, like, Frank Sinatra, the music of our grandparents and great grandparents' age. Okay, think of that music where what was being talked about wasn't even necessarily something that you relate to, but it was meaningful, it was impactful, and it meant something to you. So lyrics that resonate with your soul. Now, the other elements of that to really take it to the next level is make multi-dimensional lyrics. Okay, meaning that you might take verse one at face value with what the lyrics say at face value. But if you understand verse one and verse two with the full context, now all of a sudden there's a whole second meaning beyond the face value meaning. Okay, so that's the multi-dimensional lyrics that I'm trying to implement, and that'll help, really kick the genre off into something that really grabs your attention so you can pay attention. You don't just go numb. You don't just black out from listening to it and just having music in your ear. No, this is going to be something that grabs your attention that you actually want to listen to. Now, element number three. Now, this might not make sense right now, but when the time comes, I promise it will. Element number three. Imagine this. You just had a crappy day at work, at a crappy job, and you come home to a crappy apartment and you just want to relax. You don't drink, you don't smoke weed, you don't do anything like that, okay? You just want to relax and you want to forget about the bad day and just vibe out. So you throw in your headphones, you throw in some Lex the Philosopher. Now you're listening, the musical composition got you vibing, you're jamming, right? You're vibing with it, you feel it. The lyrics start coming at you and it's resonating with your soul, and you're, oh man, listen to this song, man. You're jamming, dude. You feel it. Now the third element comes in, and that third element, it kicks on, and now all of a sudden you're no longer in that crappy apartment working a crappy job. You are completely transported outside of yourself, outside of your head, outside of your environment. That way, for just a moment, for one song, you're not working a crappy job, coming home to a crappy apartment. Okay, it can transport you outside of yourself, and that's exactly how you're going to create a new genre. And that's exactly what I'm doing as we speak. So I'm super excited to see what that comes, man. And I know that sounds kind of crazy and this might not make sense to everybody, but I promise, just wait and see. And when that day comes, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, ironically enough, talking about multi-dimensional lyrics, there's actually a multi-dimensional lyrics second meaning to element one, two, and three beyond the face value that I just gave you. So I'd be curious if anybody actually understands what the second message between element one, two, and three were, if you understand them in the full context. I wonder if anybody will ever be able to figure that out. So if you're a deep thinker and you like philosophy, let me know if you can figure that out, what that second meaning is between those elements. And it's not the numbers themselves. The numbers don't have anything to do with it. Okay, it's the words that I used to have a second meeting. So, we might have to go back and listen to it again just to see if you can dig up and uncover what that multidimensional lyric is. So that's kind of me in a quick overview, me in a nutshell. Now, Lex the Philosopher, how I got the name. Well, my full name's Alex. My favorite nickname that I was given growing up was Lex. I always loved deep thinking. If you can't tell, I love talking about philosophical ideas, and it's super deep, it's super and it's meaningful. It's something that you can either work towards or it actually means something in the grand scheme of things. It's not just this everyday small talk. I can't do it. I rather not talk at all than to do some stupid small talk. It drives me nuts. It enrages me to do small talk. So I like philosophical ideas and talking about those things that are very deep, meaningful, and impactful. So that's how philosopher came into the name. So that's how I got Lex the Philosopher. So going on to Outside the Gray. Outside the Gray is actually the name of my label. I own the rights to the name, and this was originally supposed to be a two-person podcast. The other guy kind of bailed, which is, things happen. I get it. It is what it is. And I was super excited. That was going to be an awesome show. We had something, what I believe to be truly unique, and just didn't end up working out. So it's been a year since then. And I finally figured, I own the rights to the name. I don't like what these podcasters are talking about. I don't like what these influencers are talking about. Nobody's doing anything the way that I want them to do it. So I see another void within the podcasting arena and the influencer area. That void isn't being filled. So why not me be the one to step up to fill that void? Now, we're going to be talking, we're not going to be limited to a handful of ideas, but these are just some things that we're going to talk about. I'm a conservative, so we might talk about conservative versus liberal ideas, and we're not only going to unpack those things, but I'm actually going to give real solutions, real life solutions that you can implement on a daily basis to make change, instead of just creating this fake outrage and talking about it and saying, why is nobody doing anything? I'm going to give you tools and things that I've done personally that you can actually enact on a daily basis to make a real impact in the real world, in your communities. So we're going to be talking, some politics stuff. We're going to be talking Christianity. I'm a Christian, so we might talk Christianity versus Islam. More importantly, I think we need to dive into the gospel to really understand the spiritual warfare, especially with our generation, and not even just our generation, with the era as a whole that we're living in right now. I think it's very important. I don't really hear the modern day Christian church talking about that spiritual warfare. It's a lot of love and Jesus is good and all that stuff, and that's great and all, but they're not talking about the real war, the real battle that we're facing as I speak, and the battle that's to come. And I think it's important that we break that down. Now, another a big important topic that I would like to talk about is the lifestyle choices. Now, I'm not talking about, workout influencer kind of thing or health influencer. I mean, instead of pointing fingers saying, look at what's wrong with everybody else, they need to change. I'm talking about you look in the mirror and you say, hey, what's wrong with me? What do I need to do to make a change? Instead of expecting everybody else around me to change. And I think that's really deep. And I think that's something that is extremely lacking nowadays. For example, the self-love movement. Self-love movement is actually rooted in self-hate. Everybody hates each other, which is why they're so focused on self-love, is because they hate themselves. And so that's a topic that, I would dive into deeper underneath the umbrella of lifestyle choices. So those are a couple, I think, three big and important ideas and concepts that we're going to get into, but we're not going to be limited to those ideas at the same time. So if you like what you're hearing and you're excited to see what's to come, man, join the ride, man. Whether it's bumpy, whether it's wavy, whether it's completely smooth, man. We're going for the ride. And the only way to know if what we want to do is going to work is if we go for it and we try. So I want to leave you some sort of encouragement at the end of this video. And understand this. There's been multiple studies done on the elderly or terminally ill patients. And they said, if you could do something different with your life, what would you do? And the almost 100% of them said, I wish I would have done what I wanted to do. I wish I would have followed my dreams. I wish I would have tried, because even if I failed, at least I would know that it wouldn't work, instead of being here 80, 90, 60 years old, wondering, what would my life have been like had I tried? So I rather try, fail, and know than to never try, never fail, and never know. And in order to do that, you need to be willing to step outside the gray.